Most people believe the Bible is a single, perfect book dropped from heaven. They are wrong. The Bible you hold in your hand is a curated collection, a selection. In the 4th century, a group of men gathered in a room and decided which texts were holy and which were dangerous. They removed books that contained secrets they didn't want you to know. Books about giants, books about the true nature of hell. Books that rewrite the history of Jesus himself. Today, we are opening the Forbidden Archives. These are the 3 lost books of the Bible and the terrifying reasons why they were removed. Let's begin with the most controversial text in human history, the Book of Enoch. If you go to church, you might hear a brief mention of Enoch. Genesis says Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. That is it, a man who didn't die but simply vanished. But there was a book, an ancient, massive text that explained exactly what he saw. The Book of Enoch doesn't just talk about prayer. It talks about the Watchers. These were angels who looked down upon the earth and saw the beauty of human women. They descended, they broke the laws of heaven. They took wives and birthed a race of hybrids called the Nephilim. Giants, monsters that roamed the ancient world and devoured resources and eventually devoured humans. The Book of Enoch describes advanced technology, weaponry, and cosmetics taught to humans by these fallen angels. It paints a picture of a world before the flood that looks nothing like Sunday school. It looks like a sci-fi nightmare. So why was it removed? Because it was too supernatural. It gave too much detail about the spiritual realm. The early church fathers felt it was dangerous for the common man to know the names and hierarchies of the fallen ones. They wanted you to focus on salvation, not on the wars of the angels. So they buried it in the sand of Ethiopia for centuries. But the sand couldn't hold it forever. If Enoch was removed for being too weird, this next book was removed for being too dangerous to the church's narrative. We all know the villain of the Bible, Judas Iscariot, the traitor, the man who sold the Son of God for 30 pieces of silver. His name is synonymous with evil. But in the 1970s, a crumbling papyrus codex was found in a cave in Egypt. It was carbon dated, verified, and translated. It was titled the Gospel of Judas. This text tells a story that flips the entire Christian foundation on its head. In this gospel, Judas is not the villain, he is the hero. The text claims that Jesus took Judas aside, away from the other disciples, and gave him a secret mission. Jesus asked to be betrayed. He needed to shed his physical body to return to the divine realm. He told Judas, "You will exceed all of them, for you will sacrifice the man that clothes me." Imagine the implications. If this book is true, Judas wasn't a traitor. He was the most loyal disciple. He took the burden of eternal shame just to obey his master. The early church leaders, like Irenaeus, called this text heresy. They burned copies. They needed a clear villain. They needed a clear enemy. A story where the bad guy is actually the good guy was too complex for the masses. It threatened the authority of the apostles. So the Gospel of Judas was erased from history until now. The final book might be the most terrifying of them all. We have the Apocalypse of John, which we call the Book of Revelation. It is cryptic and symbolic. But there was another apocalypse that was widely read in the early centuries. The Apocalypse of Peter. This book doesn't speak in symbols. It speaks in graphic, high-definition horror. It describes in vivid detail the punishments of hell. It describes blasphemers hanging by their tongues. It describes murderers being tormented by venomous beasts. It describes women who mocked God being blinded by fire. It was so graphic, so disturbing, that it was read in churches on Good Friday for hundreds of years. But eventually, the church fathers decided it was too much. It focused too heavily on fear and not enough on hope. They worried that if people saw the true face of judgment, they would serve God out of terror, not out of love. Or perhaps they knew that fear is the most powerful control mechanism, and they wanted to reserve the right to dispense it themselves. The Apocalypse of Peter was slowly phased out, replaced by the more poetic Book of Revelation. So what does this mean for us today? It means the Bible you read is a filtered reality. The Book of Enoch, the Gospel of Judas, the Apocalypse of Peter, they are pieces of a puzzle that were hidden from you. But the question remains, did the church hide these books to protect you? Or did they hide them to control you? The truth is out there for those brave enough to read between the lines. If you want to uncover more secrets of the ancient world, subscribe to the channel. We are just getting started.